many people are listening are familiar with Magnolia Road in Boulder. Do you want to share what you did a few weeks ago out there?
Well, yeah, I had a good session up there. It was pretty good. And I'm going up there this weekend on Saturday, and I'll do another session, and I'll probably do another really big run up there. But I did a 34 miler on mags, so a double mags plus a little bit more. A pretty solid effort, and mag sits at close to 9,000 feet or 9,000 feet. So it's pretty high elevation. But yeah, like that's my jam. I love that stuff. Like rolling dirt roads up at high altitude. That's one of my favorite workouts that I can do. It's actually, I look forward to doing that type of work. And so this weekend, I'm actually doing a 25 miler up there, probably a little faster than I went last time. And then in the coming weeks, I'll probably do another 30 to 35 miler up there at a similar pace. It's very, very Western States specific. It makes you strong. And I really look forward to doing that type of work.
I never made the connection to the Western States specificity. That makes tons of sense. It's funny that marathoners love it as well. It's just like a brutal route, and it's good no matter what. It's good strength. You can get in a rhythm, and then it's broken up with an uphill, and then you're downhill again. And when we talked about what you did, I was like, wait a minute. So you did the double, and then you went out for 2 more miles and then came back. That's the hardest part. And you're like, yeah, that's the point.
Exactly. Like, it was funny the other day, I was running with Matt, and we did a big route here in the Front Range, on the flat irons. And I came up with the route, and we were running down, and we had finished the hard part of the route. And then we were coming across the Mesa Trail, which is a little bit easier than doing some of the big mountain stuff. And we dropped down again and then climbed back up. And Matt was like, why the heck did you throw that in there? And I was like, because, dude, it makes us stronger. It makes us tough. And it's hard, not just physically, but it's hard mentally to do something like that, because if we just kept on the flat or the rolling all the way back, it'd be easy. We wouldn't have to think about it. We just run back and it'd be good. But throwing that little extra climb in there makes it a little bit harder and makes you have to think about it. Makes you have to mentally dig just a little bit. And those type of things, I like doing those things in my work, in my running, because that's the type of things that you'll encounter in an ultra. Those are the type of moments that I'm going to have in Western States. When I'm running down Cal Street to the river, there's that little hill there, not a little, but it's a pretty dang steep hill that you have to do right before the river. And it gets everybody because they're not expecting that, but it's a pretty steep climb. And I want to be prepared for that hill so that it doesn't affect me, not just physically, but mentally. And so that's why I do those type of things. And everything's very specific with how I train and how I set up my training with my coach. Is we get very specific because we want to meet the demands of the race that we're training for. And so that's why we do mags 1 week, which is rolling dirt road, which Western States has a lot of rolling dirt road at high altitude. And then the next week, we might do a big mountain day, which would mimic the canyons at Western States, which is very verty, very, single track trail, a little bit technical in some sections. And so you have to do both. You have to train for both. And you have to put yourself in these situations so that when you get there on race day, you're ready for the demands that the race is putting at you.
The way that you describe this, it just sounds like you're just a dude that is out there playing in nature. You feel that?
It's fun, dude. I enjoy so much putting together a training plan with my coach. I enjoy so much getting on, my Coros app or online and mapping out a route and seeing exactly where I'm going to run and kind of putting it all together on all right, this is specific to this part of Western States. This is specific to this part of Western States. I enjoy that so much. And I enjoy being in the mountains. Yes, I'm like a little kid, man. Honestly, I really enjoy what I do for a living. I enjoy the process, and I feel like a little kid sometimes, when I'm up there in the mountains. Jumping from rock to rock, eating. I'm fueling with pretty much candy. It's not candy, but gels and stuff like that. And it's pretty much just candy. So I am a kid. I'm playing in the mountains. I'm getting dirty. I'm getting muddy. I'm eating candy. Man, like, if this is what it means, like, I don't want to ever grow up, right? This is who I want to be for the rest of my life because it's an amazing life. It really is. It's so fun.
And all the ice baths you take.
All the ice baths. Yeah, exactly. I don't take ice baths, dude. I don't like it. Oh, man. I do not. That is one thing I don't like. And maybe that's one thing I do fear. I fear cold water. I do not like cold water. I'm just too, maybe I'm too skinny. I don't know. But like, it's just, I get cold really, really easy, especially in cold water. I definitely prefer the sauna more.
So you've done a lot of research around sauna. You've talked to a lot of people about sauna, and you do a lot of sauna use. Talk to me about how you're using that to train for Western States and life in general.
Yeah. So doing a heat protocol is very, very important for Western States because Western States is a hot race. You know, it starts at altitude. It starts in the mountains, and it's usually 40, 50 degrees Fahrenheit when you start. But then when you finish, when you get down towards Auburn, California there, it's 100 plus degrees. I mean, and that's what makes Western States so hard, is not just how hot it is, but the change in temperature, because your body has to learn to adapt and adjust, right? Going from a 60 to 70 degree swing in temperature. And it just freaks out when it has to go through that process. And so I have learned over the years that heat training is very important. I use a sauna quite a bit, and I've kind of upped my tolerance and I've upped my heat protocol every year. So the first year I only did 2 weeks of heat training. Last year I was doing 4 weeks of heat training, but getting in the sauna maybe every day for 3 weeks before. And then 4 weeks out, I was doing every other day. This week I upped it even a bit more. Well, first I was down in New Zealand for the whole winter, and in Australia in the hot weather down there. And so that helped. And then when I got home, I started doing the sauna every other day. So I've done sauna every other day, March, April, and beginning of May now. I was doing it every day before canyons, the 2 weeks before canyons, just to make sure I was ready for the heat that was going to be there. And now I'm doing a 6-week protocol where I will jump in the sauna every day for 6 weeks leading into
How much water are you
Western States.
drinking?
Yeah, that's the one thing is, right, making sure you're hydrating. I hydrate a ton. I'll drink a full bottle while I'm in the sauna.
Hayden's peed twice during this
Yeah.
podcast. This chair is very
I need
wet.
to go right now. No. And then I'll drink a full bottle after with electrolytes. And yeah, it's just like, and I feel really heat adapted. I mean, the sauna is not too hard for me now. And I feel like that could come into play really well. Like, I actually got this from, there's a guy that just won the PTO championship in triathlon named Max Newman. He's an Australian guy. I listened to a podcast with him about his heat protocol, and I was like, all right, he's doing it right way. He was talking about how before Kona, he was doing 6 to 8 week protocols. And I was like, well, that's what I need to be doing, like 2's not enough. And so I started adjusting, and we started talking to my coach about it, started talking to you about it. You've actually given me a lot of good information, and we've put it all together. And I will be doing also in this build to Western States, I'll be doing a week-long trip to the Grand Canyon. I'll be staying on the South Rim and doing a bunch of dips down into the canyon, a bunch of runs, big week of training, just getting used to that change in temperature and having a good heat week down in the Grand Canyon.